Unplugged Army, it's time to register for the LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club. Go to FordChampionship.com and you can either buy tickets, or an even better deal would be to volunteer. This is the biggest event on the calendar, calling all generals and really anybody that's even a private in the Unplugged Army. Please volunteer for the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, and help the world to feel the wind.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
4 minute offense.
4 minute offense.
4 minutes.
4 minute offense. 4 minute offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in Brooklyn, New York. Suns win 126-117. Dominated the game for the first quarter and a half. Gave up a massive comeback to Brooklyn. And then Coach Ott said it was a dogfight in the second half. But because of great three-point shooting, Suns prevailed. Dylan Brooks, 27 points on 8 of 15 shooting. Book had 24 points. Took only 18 shots to get there. Colin Gillespie, great again. 22 points on 7 of 10 shooting. 5 boards, 5 assists. Up next, back end of a back-to-back. Suns travel to Philly. They take on the Sixers tonight, and they're expected to have Jalen Green in the lineup. Head coach, Jordan Ott.
He knows what we want to do. You know, we're a top 5 defense. That's where it's going to start. Offensive, we need his speed, his playmaking, his downhill ability, and we're going to help him. No one's progress goes like this. There's going to be some bumps, so we're just excited for him to be out there. He's super excited.
Tip-off this evening, 5 o'clock. Cardinals expected to interview Robert Saleh today for their opening at head coach. There's just one catch. He took the Titans job last night. Another coach on the short list, Jeff Hafley. He took the Miami job, despite the fact the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 25 years, and they don't have a quarterback either. The other names on the Cardinals short list that are still involved in the playoffs are not eligible to be interviewed until next week. And when non-Cardinals NFL news, Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, has been fired. And finally, finally, U of A is now the number 1 team in the country unanimously. Took long enough, but don't forget there are no opinions allowed in the 4-minute offense. Up next, Wildcats take on UC at home tomorrow night at 7. ASU's at home against WVU, same time, tomorrow night at 7. GCU is home tomorrow night as well, but they don't take on San Diego State until 9 o'clock. MLB Network is listing the top 100 players in Major League Baseball, and last night they announced Geraldo Perdomo is at number 24. It's actually ahead of Corey Seager and Trey Turner at shortstop. As of yet, Marte and Corbin Carroll have not been announced. Up next, pitchers and catchers report for the Diamondbacks February 11th. Waste Management Phoenix Open announced 2 more commitments. Hideki Matsuyama and Ricky Fowler have joined just recently, but I missed it in the previous 4-minute offense. Gary Woodland and Webb Simpson have also committed. The biggest national story is one of the greatest turnarounds in the history of sports. Indiana defeated Miami 27-21 to win the national championship. Fernando Mendoza only threw for 186 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but made a legendary run on a 4th and 5 quarterback draw for a touchdown. Despite winning the Heisman and the national championship, the press conference started off on a weird note.
Offensive player of the game, Alberto Mendoza. Coach, when Fernando Mendoza.
The losing side, Miami, was coached by Mario Cristobal.
They had the guts, the faith, and the trust to look at a place that was a complete mess and say, I'm going to be the person, I'm going to be a man of action, and I'm going to make the University of Miami a prominent program once again, and we're going to win, and we're going to win big, and we're going to change the culture. And that's not easy. A lot of people look at that, they shy away from it. These guys are legitimate, like big time human beings. Going to be awesome fathers and husbands and leaders of the community way beyond football.
And finally, so how would you feel if your dad got arrested on your wedding day? Meet Robin Ellis Robeson. 2 police officers stormed into her reception and tried to arrest her father when they grabbed the microphone and started singing All You Need Is Love. Robin wanted to do something a little bit different for her wedding, so she shocked all of her guests and didn't tell them she had hired singing waiters, but asked them to come in dressed as police and barge into the room and attempt to arrest her father. What's even funnier about it is, in order to make sure her dad didn't have a heart attack, she told him she was going to do it. But it was about 6 months ago, and he had totally forgotten. She said one cousin almost started a fight with the cops, but was a little scared about getting handcuffed. Other people were yelling and screaming, not on their wedding day, until the men started singing and everyone realized it was part of the act.
Hey, Unplugged Army, this is General Mike. The thing I love about Bell's most is the staff. Every time I come here, they make sure I'm having a good time, and I always bring my daughter here, and she has dietary restrictions. They always find something with their fresh ingredients to make for her to hit the gluten-free, dairy-free menu items. So always enjoy it when I come here. Can't wait to come back.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
Come check us out at Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp. We're on Estrella Parkway, just south of the 10. My name is Aaron. I also go by AG Kleino on Twitter. I've been in the Unplugged Army since the dark days. And my message to the listeners would just be, as far as Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp is concerned, is it's not selfish to care for yourself. At Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp, we strive to inspire fitness and change lives every day.
It's really easy when you watched it. I mean, the guy has only been there for 2 years. They've lost 2 total games and a national championship. And I realize we're nowhere near that, but we've got the right guy to get there. Oh yeah, I said that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you've decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the 4 major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning. We also cover ASU, U of A, GCU, the Rattlers, the Rising, and the Merc. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. How are you? I'm doing good. I hope you were happy with yesterday's show. Kind of weird. I planned on doing a kind of vacation show, laid back, wasn't going to produce it much. And then when I started working, I thought, no, let's go full bore. And I'm kind of thinking, boy, that was a mistake because I slept until 3:00 yesterday. And that was crazy. That was just absolutely crazy. So I was way behind then in getting Town Hall Tuesday written and getting games watched and everything. So I'm reasonably caught up now. I got a lot of new commercials that I want to work on. And then today I'm going to be, I'm pretty busy the rest of the week. Jacked up for today. Guess what I'm doing? I'm eating lunch with Just Chili. How about that? I've never actually met him, so I'm excited to do that. But the get together on 12 Plus was so cool that it seemed like a no-brainer. Hey, and maybe he can teach me a lot of social media. So I got that going on today. Probably going to the ASU game tomorrow as they're in action and they're on Peacock. And I figured, you know what, I should go and see them live. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll try to come home and watch U of A tomorrow, and then hopefully Thursday slows down a little bit, and I'm hoping to reconnect with Wild Horse Pass. I just think that there's a lot of good things going on. I'm getting fired up. And tomorrow, you know what? I got to be careful about trying to commit to go to ASU because tomorrow is the scheduled Beer with Bobby Mack. Oh, yeah. We'll see. Got to get fired up for that. Now, that's all that's going on in my life. Hopefully everything's good for you. We got Town Hall Tuesday today, and we've got a lot of Cardinals to talk about because there was a lot of Cardinals news yesterday. Well, news around the NFL that affects the Cardinals, and Sun's the winner as well. But first, it's time for Doug's big one. It's my number one opinion of the day. Let's roll. Doug.
Where's Doug? Here, sorry, Doug. Where are you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug right there? That was smooth.
Well, I can only answer the questions that get asked of me, Doug.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's big one. My biggest takeaway from watching Indiana beat Miami yesterday for the national championship. Well, I have to admit, my number one takeaway is I thought he was dead wrong to go for it on 4th and 5. The signature play of the game, going for it on 4th and 5 and getting it on a quarterback draw. And I thought that was just a mistake to go for it. You're the better team. You're winning. Take the points. I still believe that, but just like I would be telling you how strongly I disagree with it if it didn't work, I got to tell you how strongly I disagree with it when he proves me wrong, too. It would be highly hypocritical. So that's my number one opinion of the game, my number one takeaway of the game. But my number one opinion of the day would be my second takeaway from the game. And that is I totally believe that Kenny Dillingham can get ASU there. Yes, I said that. I mean, you think about it, they're a bad targeting call last year from advancing to the Final Four, number one. Number two, it's not like IU really had NIL money pouring in until the very end. So it's not that far off from where ASU is. Now, IU has one huge advantage, and that is the Big Ten. The Big Ten is incredibly overrated. That does not mean IU, Ohio State, and Oregon aren't legitimate championship contenders. 100% they are. And I would say with Dante Moore coming back, Oregon's really got a leg up on everybody. But what I mean by that insult to the Big Ten is so much of the rest of the conference is weak, and everyone just looks at the teams and say, well, you're from the Big Ten. But they don't actually look at how weak individual schedules are. So you load up on beating on Northwestern and Purdue, who I think that they went winless in the conference, if I'm not mistaken. Maryland, Michigan State, and Rutgers, and UCLA, and these are all dog football programs. And that's the high that's so many people. I mean, think about that. UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan State, Maryland, and Purdue. Okay? And actually last year Wisconsin, although they've got a nice history. So when I look at that collection of 6 teams, it's really easy. I mean, if you're only playing 2 or 3 of them, you've got 3 wins out of 9, and you still got 6 games to fight for, and you don't know how good your opponents are going to be in those other 6. It's not that hard. It's not a hard conference. Now, with all due respect, they do have, like I said, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, 100% legitimate national championship contenders. But it's not like the SEC, in which they have 7 teams in the top 14. So they're not the SEC. So you play weaker teams, but because of the reputation, you get more credit. While in ASU, playing in the Big 12, it's more like you're fighting the reputation. Especially since the 2 teams that have won the Big 12 championship since the massive realignment, ASU and Texas Tech, both lost in their first game. Now, granted, they had a bye, but they both lost in their first game. So the Big 12 has no wins in the revamped college football playoff. And making matters worse, both of the last 2 playoffs have only had one and done Big 12 teams in it. The Big 12's never had an at-large bid. So that's the reputation of the Big 12. I'm against that, but that's the reputation of the Big 12. So it's going to be harder for ASU to get there than it will be for Indiana to get there, or for Indiana to have turned it around the way they did. But I look at that and I say there's a lot of similarities in that. Not in the sense that one's a basketball school. Obviously, ASU is never going to be accused of that. And even though we like to We love on the ASU tradition talking about the Nebraska win, talking about the Rose Bowl win, talking about the what would have been a national championship game against Ohio State. All of those things are great stories, but there's not a sustainable tradition of ASU football where it gets national attention. But I totally believe in what Kenny Dillingham is doing. And when you see someone like Indiana do it, here's what I think it might do. I believe it really can be parlayed with the upper levels of management, and specifically Dr. Crow, to say, look what can happen when we get that much backing. Now, when I say Dr. Crow now, I want to make sure I'm being fair so that you know the new message. Everything I said negatively about Dr. Crow, I'm not taking back, as long as you understand it's the past incarnation of Dr. Crow. I totally believe Dr. Crow's different now. Not that he, not different like he's a whole different person, but I think it's more like maybe he hasn't changed his mind about how college athletics should be, but he accepts it's not how it is. He might still think I'm right, this is all wrong the way that we're doing it. But I think he understands it's the cost of admission now. And once it's the cost of admission, I think he's like, okay, this is where we've got to go. This is what we have to do. I don't know. It's so clear to me when I'm talking to people at ASU how many more people are complimenting Dr. Crow than they used to. And that's a sign to tell me that he truly has changed. And I believe that an Indiana win is something that a guy like Dr. Crow can say, okay, I see what that's done for Indiana. I can't stress it enough what it's done for Ohio State. I don't like talking about it because I'm not an Ohio State fan, but it's totally the truth. When I was in high school in the late 80s, anybody could get into Ohio State. It was boom, send your resume, send your application, you're in. That's it. And what ended up happening is as football exploded. Now, football's always been big at Ohio State, but it wasn't until the mid-90s that they started to really build something incredible under Jim Tressel. And every time they did something special, better and better applicants were applying to the school. They wanted to be a part of that football. They wanted to feel what it was like to be there. They wanted that environment, that fun. And because it looked like so much fun to be a student at Ohio State, better and better applicants kept applying. Well, as better applicants kept applying, you started to have to say no to kids that just 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you would have never said no to. But that's what happened. And then with better applicants, you had better students. With better students, you had better careers following that. And now the students of the 90s are 30 years removed. Well, not the 90s, more like I would say the students that then graduated in the aughts. Then suddenly they have better careers. They've amounted to more. They're donating more money back. And it just becomes incredibly reciprocal. Now you look at ASU and say, are you willing to do that? Can you do that? Because it's not just about the applications going up. Of course, Arizona State doesn't need to get bigger. At least I don't think they do. But if you increase the quality of the applicant, then it changes the outcome on the other end dramatically. And that's exactly what the type of person that Dr. Crow is and wants to see from his university. So Doug's big one today. I'm not predicting ASU wins a national championship. But I am saying Indiana has shown that it's possible for schools like ASU, schools that are positioned like ASU. And since I believe in Kenny Dillingham that much, yeah, I think they can get there. Going to be tough, though, because the Big 12 does not have multiple bids. And Indiana can almost always count on getting in if they're keeping even remotely this level of achievement. And I say remotely under that coach, don't you think it's a stretch to say they lose more than 2 games? And once you've won one, now a lot of the, in my opinion, the selection committee won't have the onions to keep a 2-loss Indiana team out. They can easily keep a 2-loss ASU team out. And that's Doug's big one. I really encourage you to buy your next new car, truck, SUV, or pre-owned from Santan Ford. The reason why is I just believe they're different. I've been through the buying experience. Granted, it was with my daughter. It was her car. She was buying a new car. Well, a new to her car. And I was treated unbelievably well, and I watched her be treated unbelievably well. And I've told you the story that I'm sitting at Trophy Bar, and I see Tim Hovick, somebody I knew from my days as the ASU sideline reporter. Started talking to him for a little bit. He asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he asked me to stop by the office. And he wanted to advertise to you, the Unplugged Army, because he figured we're good people. That's the type of customers he wants. And I know that he's going to treat you very, very well. And that's why we get a friends and family rate. So when you're interested, when you're ready, email me. Totally serious. All these people that you've heard on commercials or talked to me about Santan Ford, they're all real and they're all happy. So when you're ready, email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com. We'll get you set up with a friends and family rate. And I know you'll love the experience when you buy from Santan Ford. Still going to talk Suns and Cardinals and do Town Hall Tuesday, but since my number one opinion had to do with the national championship game, we might as well start there. And, boy, first of all, nice job, Miami. Did you see why I've been talking about that defense so much? Specifically Ruben Bain, but all of them? Oh, my gosh. That Miami defense was absolutely phenomenal. Keep in mind, I don't have any idea how many touchdowns this year were defensive touchdowns by Indiana. I don't know how many touchdowns this year were special teams touchdowns. I can't answer that. And I'm not going to sit here and go through everything. But having said that, they scored 27 points on Miami, and 7 of them were because of a blocked punt. So 20 points scored offensively in the game, right? You with me on that? In which they had a field goal and 2 touchdowns, and that was the extent. No, 2 field goals. I forgot about that last one. 2 field goals and 2 touchdowns offensively. So that's it. Now, if I go back through their scores throughout the year, again, not knowing how many, it's funny that they scored 27 points against Old Dominion as they were learning what they're doing. They only beat Old Dominion 27-14. Compared to some of these other scores, you're going to laugh that it was Old Dominion that kept it close. But listen to the scores this year. Old Dominion 27-14. Kennesaw State 56-9. Indiana State 73-0. Number 9 Illinois 63-10. Iowa 20-15. Number 3 Oregon 30-20. Michigan State 38-13. UCLA 56-6. Basically, what I care about is the total points scored by Indiana. Okay, I should just be reading those. I care about their offense. 27-56, 73-63, 20-30-38, 56-55, 27-31-56, 13 against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. That's a little shocker. 38 against Alabama in the playoff, 56 against Oregon in the playoff, and 27 and really offensively 20 against Miami. I said all that because of how impressed I was with Miami's defense, and I think if you weren't sure, if you hadn't seen them like I have, that was proven nails. I told you I thought the decision to go for it on 4th and 5 was just wrong. I still think it's wrong, even though I saw the result, but it was incredibly brilliant of what Coach Cignetti did. You heard me play for you in the 4-minute offense the hilarious beginning of the press conference. So there's a woman that's a moderator. She's not a reporter, but she's the moderator. She's going to pick out people to ask questions, and she starts off the press conference, and Fernando Mendoza is not there yet. So she wants to announce to everybody that he's coming, but we're going to start without him.
Offensive player of the game, Alberto Mendoza. Coach,
Fernando
Mendoza.
Now, as the guy that's been saying Connor Gillespie for a month, getting confused between a Blue Jays reliever, a Guardians reliever, and a point guard of my local favorite team, the Phoenix Suns. Well, the Diamondbacks are actually my favorite team, but I mean my favorite NBA team. And I've been saying Connor instead of Colin forever. I'm not going to rip her, but it is hard to understand how that happens. It's like, what are you doing? The kid won the Heisman Trophy. Are you not watching the game? And then he's got a big name tag right there that says Fernando Mendoza at his seat. So that was hilarious. Then she asked Coach Cignetti if he's got an opening statement.
Okay, hard-fought game. Give a lot of credit to Miami. It was a real gut check. We found a way. It's credit to our guys' resiliency to find a way to get that done. It's a great thing. Indiana winning the national championship 2 years into our tenure. You do it with people and a plan. Can't say enough about our senior leadership and the people we have in the locker room and the people we have on our staff and our strength and conditioning staff, support staff, and the commitment we received from President Witt and Scott Dolson. I would like to say our NIL is nowhere near what people think it is. So you can throw that out. And this team really overcame a lot on the road in a lot of tight games and found a way to get it done. And we're 16-0, and we're 27-2 since Indiana, but we're 16-0.
16
national champions at Indiana University, which I know a lot of people thought was never possible. It probably is one of the greatest sports stories of all time. But it's all because of these guys and the staff. So proud of them, and it's a great night.
You know, as I've always said, if you're going to say greatest sports story, no, it will always be the 1976 U.S. or the 1980s. It can't be that good of a story. I don't even know the year. The 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Always going to be the greatest sports story ever. The Russians beat the Rangers in an exhibition before the Olympics. I mean, come on. Yeah. And a bunch of college kids beat the Soviet Red Army. It's just amazing. That's number one. But then once you get after that, okay, where are we going? Jesse Owens to me is number two. I mean, I know I had this conversation with Dana Scott a little while ago. I think it might have been Howard Balzer. Jesse Owens to me is number two. I mean, here's Hitler saying this is the master race, and Jesse Owens does laps around him. Well, what do you have to say about that? You know, that's kind of hysterical. And then after we get through those two, where are we going? Where are we going? Indiana's got a claim. Indiana has a claim. You've heard the stats I've given to you before. No 9-win season since the 1940s. One guy comes in and they win double digits both years. Now, granted, there was a time that they played 8 games, played 9 games, played 10 games, played 11 games. Then there was a time they played 11 games but would play a 12th game if there were enough Saturdays between Thanksgiving and Labor Day weekend. It was weird. If you had 13 Saturdays on an occasional year, they would allow then 12 games. But if you had 12 Saturdays, you had to play 11 games. And then finally they said, you know what? We'll play 12 and we'll play after Thanksgiving and all that. But still, this was amazing. Mendoza, 16 of 27 for 186 yards. He really wasn't special, but he didn't turn the ball over. And his rushing touchdown was just absolutely brilliant. First question to Cignetti was, what happened on the 4th and 5? You called timeout. You had the field goal unit on there. You decided to go with it. Tell us about the play call and why you went for it.
Yeah, I think we'd gone for it on 4th down, maybe the series before too, or maybe it was that series. And we finally came up with some ways to give the quarterback a chance to get the ball out of his hand because we were having some protection issues. That particular play didn't feel really good about kicking a field goal there. The play before, they were in the coverage for the quarterback draw, which we put in specifically in the medium package in the low red against that look. We had to block it a little different than we normally do, and that was about a 45-minute discussion in the staff room how we were going to call it and do it. Line did a great job executing, so the back, and Fernando trucked the linebacker, broke a few tackles. And, let me tell you, Fernando, I know he's great at interviews and comes off as the All-American guy, but he has the heart of a lion when it comes to competition. I mean, that guy competes like a warrior, and, he got really smacked a few times in this game. That one drive we kicked the field goal, there should have been two roughing the quarterbacks and one high hit to the head that weren't called. I'm all for letting them play, but when they cross the line, you got to call them. And I can't say enough about his effort on that play and our team finding a way to get it done.
Got a lot to think about on that. Number one, I thought I couldn't stand the officiating in this game. I love what Cignetti just said. I'm all for letting them play, but there was just too many things too many DPIs where a wrist is being held. Like you're forcing a guy to catch it one-handed. That's pass interference. Got to be called. One play had 2 penalties on the offense. It was an Indiana penalty in which it wasn't called. The left tackle was clearly in the backfield. It's got to be called when it's that extreme because it allows you to have a drop. What I'm saying is you have to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And an offensive lineman has to have their head, in a sense, ahead of the center's butt. But if you really think about where is their hip bone for the center, then an offensive lineman, in order to be considered on the line of scrimmage, has to have their own head even with the center's hip. And the left tackle had created a massive V shape, and that gives him a better drop because the defensive lineman cannot be in the neutral zone. And the neutral zone is just simply the width of the football on an imaginary line from sideline to sideline. No one but the center's hand is allowed to be in the neutral zone at the time of the snap. So you have a defensive end like a Reuben Bain at the line of scrimmage, but behind the football. But the left tackle is now a step and a half behind. That creates the room he needs to figure out what move the defensive end is going to do and then be able to block him easier. So that's why they want to do that. Well, that's illegal. And that wasn't called. And then on the opposite side of the left tackle, a bad hold by a tight end on a block. And boom, Indiana turns the corner and they get a first down. Oh, sorry for the dead air there. I was like, I didn't understand my notes. It says FS on UM second T. Like, well, what is that? But it's a false start. Maryland. Where am I getting Maryland? Miami, the right side of their offensive line totally jumped before their second touchdown of the game. It was a bad miss. And not even the broadcasters saw it. And then, of course, what's amazing is the 4th and 5 quarterback draw. That's amazing. So I like what he's saying about let him play, but that was ridiculous. When it's over the line, you got to call it. But when I watched that game through the prism of being the Vegas Raiders, I'm really fired up and excited about Mendoza. I think I would like to see a little more arm strength, but arm strength is overrated if you can read a defense, you can anticipate and get the ball out. And guess what he can do? He can read the defense, anticipate, and get the ball out and have the accuracy. So I love those things from Mendoza. But the number one thing I didn't know was his unbelievable toughness. He took that targeting shot in the chin, should have been called, and sucked it up and kept going. And then on his touchdown run on the 4th and 5, that was incredible. And the reason why I give him so much credit is he crossed the line, had the touchdown when he took the shot in the back, and he still didn't fumble. You know how many people would have fumbled on that shot in the back because you think it's over, and he's still fighting for yards to make sure it's a touchdown? When I saw that run, those hits, and a lack of fumbling, I immediately thought that's who I would want. And this whole year, I have not been gung-ho on Mendoza. I thought he was the best quarterback available after the Penn State game. I was, just so you know, I was leading pretty heavy on Ty Simpson for a long time. And then Ty Simpson in Alabama went through a little bit of a scuff at the end of the year, and I don't know why. And then Mendoza had Penn State and kept getting better. But that play right there, no, I don't draft a kid because of one play, but he's put enough on tape to let me know you can play. And now he puts that play on tape to show me how tough it is. Mendoza, what did you think when you heard that it was going to be a quarterback draw on 4th and 5?
Yeah, a big concept that we've really had on ourselves this year is always betting on ourselves. Whether it's preseason, no one thinks we can make it. Whether it's figuring it out in situations like Oregon, Penn State, and Iowa, we've always figured it out. And whenever Coach Cignetti, Coach Shanahan, they called that play, we knew, hey, we're going to bet ourselves one more time in the biggest stage of the game. And at that point, I took the drop, and it wasn't the perfect coverage for it, but I trust my lineman, and everybody in that entire offense and entire team had a gritty performance today, and we're all putting our bodies on the line. So it's the least I could do for my brothers.
Every time this kid talks, number one, it is textbook for media relations. And I'm not trying to throw shade on somebody, but tell me the difference in your mind. As soon as I say these two names, you're going to laugh. Fernando Mendoza and Kyler Murray. Do you see why press conferences matter? Press conferences are an opportunity, again, for the quarterback to lead. That's what they do. So many quarterbacks, so many college kids, so many professionals think the press conference is for the media. And they want to rip the media. They want to be above the media. Blah, 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 blah. Media, 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 media. That is so short-sighted. A press conference is an opportunity for you to dictate tempo to your team. It's an opportunity for you to control the message if you actually believe in the message. People will see right through it if you don't believe in your own message. And if you come across holier than thou, you'll get ripped. But if you know how to control the situation by actually being a genuine person like Fernando Mendoza, then automatically people follow you. I do not think Fernando Mendoza is the greatest quarterback in the history of college football. But I do believe he's one of the best leaders. And therefore, people will follow him. And I think he makes players better than they are. And I think that's a prerequisite to be a good quarterback. All right, coming up next, let's talk Cardinals and the news that dramatically negatively affects negatively affects their coaching search. And I want to pay attention to a really strong tweet from Teo Mackey, America's reporter. Next on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Going to be hard to keep up with this list, but from Parker & Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, we have a reverse osmosis system, a tankless water heater, and 2 air scrubbers that actually remove pollens and germs from the air that we breathe in our home. So what does Parker & Sons do? They only handle the air that we breathe and the water that we drink, and they do a great job. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602 the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons.
It's big, it's juicy, it's meaty. Get your burrito at Burrito Express. If you're having a hangover, a bad day, even a good day, still get your burrito at Burrito Express. It will make you feel better.
Embarrassed to say I have zero idea how to pronounce the guy's name. I don't really have time to listen to his stuff. I'd probably like to, but he's got over 800,000 followers on Twitter and does a good job reporting. His name is Ari Meroff, I believe. His Twitter handle is @MySportsUpdate. I'm one of his followers because I think he's good at reporting things. And he sent out this tweet. The hashtag Giants hired John Harbaugh before his next visit to the Titans. The hashtag Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski before his next visit with the Titans. And the hashtag Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley before his next visit with the Titans. So it's really interesting when you look at that tweet. In other words, the Titans were either second fiddle or worse in the Harbaugh, Stefanski, and Hafley races. And all of them, all 3 of them, were getting ready to go to the Titans, but where they were currently made sure they didn't leave, gave them the offer, and they got the deal done. Well, in case you didn't know last night, Robert Saleh, according to Adam Schefter, will be the next head coach of the Titans. So after Ari had tweeted that out, Teo Mackey retweeted that tweet. Quote tweeted is the official term, meaning here's his tweet, here's my add-on to the tweet. So after the Titans get shut out 3 times, Teo tweets out, and now the Titans hired Robert Saleh before his next visit with the Cardinals. A clear statement on where the Cardinals have stood in the hierarchy of openings this cycle. I want you to know how much respect I have for Teo making that tweet. It's clear, it's obvious, it's 100% true, but still, I know how the Cardinals operate. If Teo Mackey would have left it at that one paragraph, and now the Titans hired Robert Saleh before his next visit with the Cardinals, that would have been strong on its own, but it wouldn't have walked the horse to drink. You know what I mean? It would have left it there, but it would have clearly been saying, that isn't that amazing. The Titans were either number 2, number 3, number 4 in the hierarchy of coaching openings. And the fact that they finally got number 4 shows you where the Cardinals rank. But you don't have to write that. You can just feel it, right? For Teo Mackey to have the courage to write the second paragraph, a clear statement on where the Cardinals have stood in the hierarchy of openings this cycle. I guarantee you the Arizona Cardinals think that's a cheap shot. I guarantee you the Arizona Cardinals are furious, and I guarantee you the Arizona Cardinals want to find a way to get Teo Mackey to either not be the guy, or what they will do is they won't give him like exclusive interviews with people. They'll keep it quiet. They won't let him know some of the things that are going on. And I just think this is amazing. I think this is absolutely amazing that he has the courage to do that, knowing that that's going to be an issue. Or if he doesn't know, he's about to find out. Now let's talk about the situation itself and what the tweet really means, because he's nails. Think about what you and I have been talking about in the last couple weeks. Do you remember what the main reason was why I would be against firing Jonathan Gannon before it happened? Because I don't believe in that man's ability to either A, attract the best candidate, or B, his willingness to pay the best candidate. One thing even I didn't know when I said that is how low, just how terribly low on the totem pole this situation was. This job is. That you have now 4 coaches that have already been hired elsewhere. And as of right now, I have not read anywhere that says Sean McDermott is interested in the Cardinals. The Miami job is similar if we're just talking football. If we're not looking at the owner, they both have an athletic quarterback that they need to move on from. So they don't really have a future at quarterback. And yet that job gets taken well in advance of the Cardinals job. Why? Ownership. 100% ownership. I'm not pretending Miami isn't one of the few cities in the world maybe you'd rather live in than Phoenix. Personally, I'd rather not have to worry about hurricanes, but I do like 0% income tax that you get in as a resident of the state of Florida. That's pretty good. But I look at that as that's squarely an ownership decision. Believing in Stephen Ross more than you believe in Michael Bidwill. So again, this organization is going to be settling for whoever will actually take the job. And the last point on this that I think is really, really important is for a man that believes in himself the way Michael Bidwill does. Michael, why weren't you able to get the deal done with Robert Saleh sooner? I mean, you had an interview with him. If you wanted him, why were you scheduling the second interview? Why didn't you just point blank? Now, granted, it would have been before San Francisco was done. But after the interview was over with Robert Saleh, why didn't you say, Robert, we really like what we hear. We want you to be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Do you want us to continue with interviews to put up a front that we haven't decided? Are you willing to commit now? Are you willing to not take any more interviews? Where do we stand? What do you need from us? I've said this line to you before, and it's an amazing phrase that really, really sets the tone to end a meeting. This is what my owner in Alabama that you've heard me talk about so highly before, Bill Donovan, used to tell me to say to close the deal. And I rarely used it because I was nervous to use it. And it is, what do we need to do today? What do I need to do today to close this deal? What's left that's in your way? And it was meant to say, we've come to basically an agreement. What's left? Why won't you sign right now? Or what would stop you from signing right now? And that gives me the ability to listen and overcome that objection. Or to change the offer. Okay. I can see that you're hesitant on price. Okay. What am I offering you in this deal that you think is overpriced? Then I can take that out. That would be the comeback. If it's price, well, then obviously you don't think my product is worth this much. So let me remove parts of the product. I can take out this number of commercials. I can take this out and we'll come. Oh no, I don't want you to take anything out. I just want you to charge me less. Oh, okay. So if I want this car, can I just have it for $5,000 below what you're selling it for? This is my product. Here's my value. But I'm going to listen to what you have to say, and therefore I'm going to change the deal right here. And I start marking it up. And usually we get back to where we were. It's brilliant on his part. Well, I say that now to Michael Bidwell. Why weren't you able to talk to Robert Saleh either in the building or virtually? I believe because San Francisco played in the first round, you could only do a virtual interview. Why weren't you able to say virtually, what will it take for us to get the deal done right now? I want you to be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. What are you looking for? Done. Good. We accept. Well, I want you to talk to my agent about it. I said, okay, I'd be glad to talk to your agent, but I want to know from you right now, this is the job that you want. That when I talk to your agent, when we reach an agreement financially, it's over, that it's a done deal. Will you accept, or are you going to want to take more interviews? And then if he says, I want to take more interviews, then okay, you have two choices. You let him because you don't want him that bad, or you say, what do I need to offer you to get you to not take any more interviews? And if he says, I want $10 million a year, then you come back with, that's actually what John Harbaugh got. And he's won more Super Bowls than you. So I'm going to tell you to your face, I don't think you're worth what John Harbaugh has set the bar at. But I think you're good. So if John Harbaugh is worth $10 million, I think you're worth $7 million a year. What do you think? I accept. Good. Done. I'm talking to your agent now. Whatever it might be. You get the deal done if he's the right guy, and you failed. You continually let down the city as the president of the team. And we're going to be stuck again with a first-time head coach that's really young, that's really underpaid, and was not offered the job by 4 other franchises. 4 other franchises did exhaustive searches and didn't come up with the guy you came up with. And they've already settled on who it is. That's the definition of failure. And we're getting to the point now, depending on who they get, maybe they do pull off McDermott. Maybe they really do get a Clint Kubiak, who I admit I'm interested in. But if they don't, we are getting to the point that none of the people you bring in are better than Jonathan Gannon. That's Doug's second one. Suns are winner, 126-117. It is a game where you can kind of look at it through a negative prism. We don't often talk about negatives when you win, especially for a young team. And this is totally, I love this phrase. I don't know if you've heard it a million times. The first time I ever heard it was from Larry Fitzgerald. But this is a champagne problem to complain about this. When we look at these Suns through the prism of the beginning of the year, I am considered a nut job because I say they're a playoff team. Well, right now, they are percentage points. They're tied with the Lakers for the 6th seed. They're percentage points behind the Lakers because the Suns have played 2 more games than the Lakers, and they're 1-1 in a sense in those 2 extra games. So the Lakers are ahead of them, and Houston is only a half a game ahead of the Lakers and Suns, and Minnesota's only a game ahead. So right now, the Suns are a game away from home court advantage in the NBA playoffs. Not making the playoffs, having home court advantage. That's how insane this season has gone, and yet I'm complaining about something. But what I'm complaining about is the fact that the Suns could have blown out Brooklyn. Now, why does that matter? Okay, because the Suns had a 20-point lead at one point in this game. So why does it matter if they blow them out? Because they're on a 6-game road trip and they're on the front end of a back-to-back. When you're on the front end of a back-to-back, if you blow a team out, then you're able to rest a bunch of your guys. And Brooklyn's a weaker team. Your tougher test is coming up today in Philly, or if we're looking at it through the prism of yesterday, your tougher team is tomorrow when you play Philly. You need to be able to take advantage of it. You need to be able to get your guys rest. And they let up. They dominated from about the 8-minute mark of the first quarter to the rest of the first quarter. They were ahead by 14. They didn't dominate, but they did pretty well through most of the second quarter. And then I don't know what they were doing. They just completely got blown out to end the second quarter. With a little over 4.5 to play in the second quarter, they're up 64-44. They got it. They got a 20-point lead. Little over 4.5 minutes to go in the quarter. They ended the half with a 4-point lead. Their lead went from 20 to 4 in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. That's lazy. I mean, I hate to say it. That's lazy. That's reading that's starting to believe we've accomplished something. That's letting your foot off the gas. And it's really like the only time I've seen them do it. And it really stinks to have done that on the front end of a back-to-back. Now, you know me. I have been Mr. Gung-Ho Phoenix Sun, drinking the Kool-Aid like crazy. I'm not just finding something to pick on. I'm saying that's the separation. You want to be great, you can't let that happen. Having said that, they won again, and I'm happy. But here is Jordan Ott on the first thoughts that he had about the game.
Yeah, he was great. I thought just our overall ball movement was great. You had to get 39 up and make 20 of them, 29 assists. And then down the stretch, I thought we made the right play, swing to make the extra pass. A lot of times that was Royce. Royce definitely hit Dylan. So overall, we figured it out. Didn't like that end of the second quarter, but other than that, we found a way to win against a team that played well. They played well. We really tried to pressure, and they handled it. They handled our pressure. So with those young guards, it's pretty impressive what they were able to do. And Porter made big shots and just kept going to him. And he's a hard guard, a very hard guard. So overall, pretty good.
This is also why I just think they crushed this hire with Jordan Ott. Do you hear him say, didn't like the end of the second quarter, blah, blah, blah. He's not sugarcoating it. He's not acting like it's not there, but he also doesn't flip out about stuff. And that is such the key to leading the professional athlete. Because the professional athlete is one that they really can't. First of all, they're an adult. It's not like a college kid. It's not like us who are high school hairy athletes where the coach just says run and we all take off running. I mean, their body is their life, is their world. So they know how to get themselves ready. And it's their profession. So yes, your boss has the right to tell you how they want something done, but they're not a very good boss if they demand that you always do it this specific way and they're not willing to listen to anything else, and they don't let you get ready for your own job. I mean, in all seriousness, imagine your boss coming over to the house and saying, that's not how I want you to drive to work. Sir, I've been on time every day of my life. I don't care. I don't want you to drive to work that way. I want you to do this. I I mean, if they're trying to lead the mundane parts of your life, could you imagine your reaction? Well, in a sense, this is the same thing. If a guy's going to overreact to everything or start yelling and screaming about the end of the second quarter, really, you start to lose guys because they're kind of like, yeah, we blew that. And that's Ott's demeanor too, which was, yeah, I didn't like that. So he's not afraid to talk about it. So many other coaches want to rip everybody and go scorched earth, or they want to sugarcoat it and act like it wasn't that big of a deal. And he doesn't do that. So then he was asked about having a nice 20-point lead and, whether it concerns him that they blew it. I love the way he handled it.
Yeah, I think they made 8 threes in the second, but we just let go. I mean, there's some stuff that we overhelped, double team, baseline out of bounds, cut to the rim, stuff that we just normally don't do. So there's 82 of these, up 20 points. We got to grow that lead. But credit to our guys, we figured it out. The third quarter, I thought our intent right off the bat was pretty good, and then we got into a dogfight and found a way to win.
Again, that is so perfect for who he is. Number one, we just let go. That's pretty damning. That's a strong statement. We let go. It's a way to say that we quit without saying that we quit. We let go. We stopped competing. We stopped being intense. We just let go. There's things that we don't do. We overhelped. Well, that's actually kind of a good problem. It's a bad decision, good problem. Overhelp means you went to help your buddy because you thought he was beat and he wasn't beat. Well, at least it's better than not helping. Problem is when you overhelp, you're now double teaming somebody you didn't plan on double teaming. Nobody knows that you're in the wrong spot, and then your guy's open because you went to help. You overhelped. That's a good problem to have, but let's not mistake, it's a problem. Baseline out of bounds, cut to the rim when he said that.
Baseline out of bounds, cut to the rim, stuff that we just normally don't do. So,
well, I've always called them Bob's, baseline out of bounds. Other people will say out of bounds under, meaning under the hoop, so out of bounds under the basket. But on a Bob, when you say baseline out of bounds, cut to the rim, what he's talking about is the one thing you never allow is a guy to cut to the rim on a baseline out of bounds, because he's doing two things. He's cutting to the ball, which makes the pass easier, and he's cutting to the rim, which gives you less room to be able to block the shot or guard him or keep him away from the rim. So what you have to do is you stop the cut before the cut happens. You're between him and the basket, and as soon as he cuts to the basket, you cut him off so he can't get there. Now, of course, the other team has a whole bunch of plays to try to set the guy up. Screen the screener. We've talked about a pick and roll. I walk up and I pick the guy guarding you so you can cut to the basket. Well, one of the plays that people will run that creates massive confusion is as I'm setting a screen for you, my guy is yelling, screen left at the guy that's guarding you. Screen left, screen left, screen left. And while he's so busy dictating traffic, screen left, one of our teammates runs up and screens him. He's not paying a bit of attention to him getting screened because he's making sure your guy knows that he's getting screened. Well, suddenly now when you screen the screener, I roll to the basket. I go right to the hoop and confuses everybody. It's a great play when it works. But as long as your defense is in constant communication, it shouldn't work. And that's what he's upset about. Now, he didn't say they screened the screener, but that's just a common play that usually is one that you're trying to do when you get open cuts to the basket. And then he says, hey, there's 82 of these. That's kind of if our biggest problem is we win games after blowing 20-point leads, we're going to be okay. It's going to happen again. But then he continues, it can't happen because we've got to know how to put people away. I love his attitude. Sugarcoat nothing. Yes, these are identifiable problems. We've got to get it fixed. But I'm not going to go nuts and act like we've just lost the world on June 19th or January 19th, whatever it is. Yeah, if you lose on June 19th, that's going to hurt a lot more. But at least we're playing then. I at least feel better about that. Now time for the compliments. Grayson Allen, fantastic. 14 points off the bench, but more specifically, his 8 assists off the bench. That's hard to do when you're not a guard.
Yeah, soldier, just fantastic. It's great to just have him out there. Like, even in the game, him having the ability, obviously, his gravity to shoot, but defensively, as physical as he is, and then he can handle. So he's another creator we have out there. And then he's been around. He's been through the wars, so just having him out there on the floor is just almost a security blanket for all of us.
Good phrase, the security blanket. One of the problems, again, and I don't like it, Dylan Brooks getting another technical. That's his 14th. Whenever you get your 16th, you are suspended for a game. And then it gets even more difficult because you're suspended for every even technical after it. Your 16th, your 18th, your 20th, your 22nd, all of those technicals are a suspension. And he's already at 14. Coach, obviously you've talked to him about it, right? I mean, why is it still happening?
It was across the court. The tough part is it's that late in the game. I'm not sure exactly what was said, so I can't really. I didn't know really what was going on, so it's just tough, that part of the game. We want him on the edge not to go over, and we want him in the game. So we know the numbers. He knows the numbers. It affects us. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's the one thing where, okay, same thing. It affects us. It's a problem. We're going to look at it. But he knows the numbers. We know the numbers. Well, I do have to stand up to Jordan for the first time, I think, because I've loved everything he's done since he's been here. You can't say you know the numbers and act like it's not a big deal, because it should have stopped a long time ago. I mean, once you get to 10 technicals, knock it off. Now, we could argue all day long whether he deserved one. It looked like he's on one end of the court. The referee far at the other end of the court calls him for the technical. And it seemed like an egotistical power play by the referee. There's a chance it could be rescinded. But one phrase I'm sick of is what they call reputation technicals. They say, well, okay, listen, he's mouthy. Referees know he gets mouthy, so they're geared up to give him a technical right from the beginning because it's his reputation that he goes after refs, he goes after other players, so he gets a technical because he doesn't have that relationship with the refs. Boom, we'll just give it to him. You've earned your reputation. Quit acting like the technicals are unfair because other people get away with saying stuff and you don't. You know why they get away with it? Because they don't act like Dylan Brooks. That's why. If Steph Curry never goes off on a ref and he then says things that are much worse than what Dylan Brooks says and doesn't get a technical, you know why? It's because he doesn't go off very often. Dylan Brooks is arguing with refs all the time. I've got an idea. I got a great way to never get a technical, an argumentative technical. Don't argue. Now, he's still going to get his technicals for his rough play. But if that's all of his technicals were just for rough play, I guess I could deal with it. But do not say reputational technical, because he deserves that reputation. And if he doesn't like the reputation, he has the right to change. It would be different if we were talking about Grayson Allen. And I'm being totally serious. To me, when Grayson Allen entered the NBA, he was a punk. I'll say it. And if he gets technicals back then, you know what? So be it. I gotta wait not to get the technical. Quit tripping guys. Don't do that. And that's what he did at Duke. Well, now the guy doesn't act like that at all. He's not a cheap shot artist. And when he talks to refs, he talks a lot more under control. So if you're giving him a technical because of his previous reputation, now you're clueless. Dylan Brooks has earned this reputation, and he hasn't changed, and that's why he gets technicals. And I would like Jordan Knott to be stronger than just say he's aware of it. Obviously, he's not, or he would be sitting at 9 technicals and not at 14. Probably the hardest. That's like a rant for Jordan Knott. It's not one of my legendary rants or anything like that. But that's about as far as I can go on Jordan Knott because he does such a good job. All right, last one, good news. Taking on Philly today, this afternoon. I think it's at 5, maybe 5:30, whatever I said in 4-minute offense is what's right. But I think it's, well, here, I can cheat. It's in my notes. 5 o'clock. But it looks like there's a 99% chance Jalen Green is finally playing. Jordan Ott was asked about what are the real life concerns from a chemistry standpoint. Everybody knows him. Everybody likes him. Everybody's glad that he's here. But still, you're in a flow. You're a team that's done this, and you've done it well. And you are bringing in somebody that has some gravitational pull to him. What do you have to do to get the chemistry right?
Yeah, great point. I think there is going to be some of that. I think that's with anyone that comes back from any injury, especially this long, or you add a player this time of year, which is going to happen. But we know who he is. He knows what we want to do. We're a top 5 defense. Like, that's where it's going to start. Offensive, we need his speed. We need his speed, his playmaking, his downhill ability. He knows it, and we're going to help him. It's probably not, no development, no one's progress goes like this. There's going to be some bumps, so we're just excited for him to be out there. He's super excited to play. His spirit has been high-level, elite through every day of rehab, which is incredibly difficult. It would be nice to see him smile out in a basketball court, and that's where we're going to get to. And that'll help us too. Like, not only his playing ability, but his ability to go out there and join in it with a uniform on. That's what we're all looking forward to.
Out of everything he said, what grabbed me the most, what a wake-up call this is for Jalen Green. The first thing he said was, listen, we're the top 5 defensive team. He's announcing right now, and obviously he's already talked to Jalen Green about it, you're not coming into this game screwing up our defense. You're not going to come in and like, oh, hey, I'm Jalen Green. I score 25 points a game. I don't have to play defense. The star of this team is Devin Booker. He plays defense. It's not like it was when you were in Houston. It's not like what it was when you were growing up, when you were such an elite player. Just get the ball and score. It's different now. So it starts with the fact that we're the number 5 team we're in the top 5 on defense. I love that. I mean, you've established right then and there, if you're not going to play tough defense, you're not going to be part of the solution. But then said what we need from him is his speed, meaning we want him to be aggressive offensively. We want him to attack the paint. We want him to get out and run for kick-ahead passes, but you got to shut your guy down in order to do it. That's strong. That is the definition of leadership, because you're already making that announcement. And I think the team is impressed by that. All right, coming up next, it's my wife time. Town Hall Tuesday. You tweet me at UnplugDoug. You email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com. You post something to me on Instagram at DougFranzUnplugged. Or you join us on the Discord channel and just use the hashtag Town Hall Tuesday on the Discord channel, or go into that window and ask any of your questions. And that's what we're here for. It's next on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass.
Here is Sue Rigler on starting 100 Mile Brewing Company.
What started 100 Mile Brewing Company is I actually have a degree in microbiology from ASU. Go Devils. And went back to school. I found out that UC San Diego had a brewing program, so I enrolled in that. And with the intention of opening a brewery, I came back to Tempe because it's Sun Devil country. I wanted to open a brewery in Tempe, which fresh, it never gets old is our tagline. And I'm pretty much a stickler about fresh beer. It's got to be fresh. Otherwise, it's not going to be served here.
Hi, I'm Angie with Penny Royal Promotions. We decorate blank apparel, screen printing, embroidery, direct to film. Also, we provide promotional products, offset printing, tents, canopies, banners, business cards, anything you can put a logo on. Okay, Unplugged Army, if you own a business, you have an upcoming event, a charity function, golf tournament, we're the official provider of the Unplugged Army. Ask for Angie. I'm this year's Euchre champion.
Hear ye! Hear ye! Oh yay! Oh yay! It's time to call a town hall meeting.
So with all due respect to 100 Mile Brewing Company, proud sponsors of Beer Friday and A Mountain Amber Ale, the best beer in the history of the state of Arizona. I'm experimenting right now for Town Hall Tuesday. Not experimenting in wives. My wife is here. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I didn't know you were ready for me to speak.
Well, I don't think I have the power to stop you.
Probably right about that.
So thank you very much. How was choir?
Amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. What are you guys working on?
All the music for the solo concert coming up on May 26th.
Oh, and that's the one in Scottsdale?
That is correct.
Oh, okay. So Jennifer has a glass of wine. I poured myself, I am not a whiskey person, and I'm cold. So I decided not to drink beer. And I was trying to decide, okay, which of these things do I like? I won at a golf tournament an amazing array of expensive whiskeys, which is funny because I don't drink it, but it's really cool on display. So I poured myself a Crown Royal, a Still Austin, and a Jefferson's Reserve. Just about 2 drinks of each. When I say drinks, I don't mean actually like the size of what we would normally say, I'll pour myself a drink. I mean, like 3 swallows worth of it. And Still Austin, very, very distant third place out of the 3. So sorry, Mr. Still, it's not there. The Jefferson's Reserve, pretty fantastic if I like bourbon. But I don't think I'm really a bourbon person. Maybe I'll grow into it. But which is funny because I'm a Scotch person. And you would think if you like Scotch, you would like bourbon. But it doesn't really grab me.
Well, I like bourbon, but I don't like Scotch.
Yeah, that's true. But that seems in my weak little head, like I'm Mr. Beer. So I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to whiskey. But in my little head, it would seem like Scotch is the step up above bourbon. So therefore, when you're still a kid playing, you drink whiskey. And then when you're an adult, you go for bourbon. And then when you've arrived, you drink
when you're
Scotch.
Old, you drink
Scotch. I wasn't going to go there. I didn't go there. So I'm finishing the Still Austin first just to get it out of my head. But in the meantime, while I'm experimenting, you may read.
Okay. Thank you for your permission. Doug, I think it's
interesting. See, I knew I could. I mean, it doesn't matter. I was being nice. Oh, I figured I couldn't really tell you.
Doug, I think it's interesting that Drew Petzing is the new OC in Detroit and all the interest in JG to either be head coach or DC. Once again, you're correct. The ownership sucks and GM is awful. The Cardinals will never be successful until both are gone. Jamie, Flagstaff Scout for the Unplugged Army.
I appreciate you announcing that, as always, I'm correct, considering that is not always true, but it's still fun to talk about. Let's go to the Drew Petzing thing. You would not believe how many people texted me yesterday, as in Monday, with the news of Petzing becoming the Detroit offensive coordinator. It is very, very funny considering so many people in Phoenix swear they know football. And they immediately want to rip the Detroit Lions, where the Lions have had the greatest turnaround, one of the greatest turnarounds in sports, and yet that's where they go. Do you not think they're watching film of all the available offensive coordinators and saying, who is it that gets it? By the way, Cliff Kingsbury's out there. Who is it that gets it? Who is it that we can work with? Who is it that we want? And they chose Drew Petzing. The Jonathan Gannon thing, he's probably about 5th or 6th as the number 1 coaching candidate, if that makes sense. You know, like he would probably be number 6 on the list, number 5 on the list, because it goes both ways. I think everybody that's in football says we're not going to judge you by the fact that you worked for Michael Bidwell. However, I don't want to take a bullet for him and act like he crushed it either. You know, he needs to do better. So I think that's where things stand, and we'll keep an eye on those two on what's about to happen. The only thing I would disagree with you with, Jamie, is you said the GM is awful. Monty Ossenfort, I shouldn't say I disagree because I don't have an opinion yet. I think he's done some good things. I really loved his handling. Granted, maybe you'd rather have Will Anderson, but at the time I loved the idea of dropping down, collecting picks in that draft, and then trading back up and getting Paris Johnson. I think that was really good. But a lot of other things he's done, I think, were really bad, namely his first-round picks since then. I think a lot of you know I was not gung-ho on Max Melton. I wanted Cooper DeJean. If you forget and you look back at that draft, the Cardinals could have drafted Cooper DeJean, but they traded down. Cooper was then gone, and then they drafted Max Melton. But according to the in-house videos that the Cardinals want us to take as gospel, that was all part of the plan, and Monty Ossenfort was thrilled to get Max Melton. It's who he wanted and feels like he gamed the system. So if you want me to treat it as fact, I'll treat it as fact and say you were dead wrong. I was right. And when I say this stuff about the NFL draft, I say it as an embarrassment to those people, not as trying to lift me up, because I don't get to interview those players. I don't get to have the access to film that they do. I don't get to know the players like they do. And they have a staff, and I have a wife who's nice enough to print up some stuff for me on draft day. How in the world is that an equal? And yet I'm beating them. I think we should agree that's not a compliment to me. It's an insult to them. That should never, ever, ever happen. I should never be right versus an entire organization. So I'm saying I don't think the GM is awful, but my big beef is, why are you firing the coach and not the GM if you're so sure it's the coach's fault? That to me seems like somebody's sucking up. Somebody's sucking up to the owner. And why would you suck up to that owner? I don't understand that.
Can you catch any of us up who may be a little bit behind it? Did not think they let Drew Petzing go. So how is he available for another job?
Very good question. Fire the head coach. You're either firing the staff or everyone's in limbo. And when everyone's in limbo, an owner will always allow you to leave because then he doesn't have to pay you. If he just fires Drew Petzing out of nowhere, or I shouldn't say out of nowhere, if he just fires Drew Petzing, he owes him the contract. Now, this is where, honestly, I would have to defer to anyone in the Unplugged Army that's read something. I've never read that the coordinators were fired.
So he left on his own accord then to go to Detroit?
Yes, okay. If I'm right that they were never fired. I don't know that. I never read, but that could just be I missed it. That could be it was at the bottom of an article and I skimmed it, and Jonathan Gannon and his staff was fired. And I'm embarrassed to admit it. That's the kind of thing I should know, but I've never really asked anybody. I just kind of assumed everybody's gone. But even if they're not gone, every owner will want them to take a job somewhere else if they can.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Moving on. Hey, Doug, any idea who's running the NHL to Arizona movement? Is this something the Unplugged Army should be part of? I miss hockey. Hooked on phonics? I want my season tickets back. Broseph D.
Great question.
I should have said hashtag hooked on phonics and hashtag I want my season tickets back.
So hooked on phonics, here's what I know. Shane Doan is an employee of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So therefore, he cannot work for an organization that doesn't exist, the Arizona Coyotes. So what they did that was brilliant and wonderful and amazing is that organization is run by, well, I don't know if it's run by, but it's fronted by his wife. So she is the leader of NHL to Arizona. And it was kind of a realization of how brilliant the Utah group was in positioning themselves as ready to strike at a moment's notice when you consider how fast everything went for them to take the Coyotes. So that's what that group is. And I'm glad that you brought it up because here's my involvement. As soon as the news came out, I reached out to Shane immediately and said, consider me in, let me know what I can do to create promotion and do whatever. And he goes, thanks, Doug, I will. And that's a very, very busy man, and he hasn't reached back out, and I've never reached back out. So I will text him this week and say, hey, you were a subject of Town Hall Tuesday. I'm sure it's the greatest thrill of his life. I'm sure getting your jersey retired isn't that exciting compared to being on Town Hall Tuesday or being at the arena at Mullet. Do you know the person who scored the first goal in the history of Mullet Arena?
Shane Doan's son.
Very good. Josh scored the very first goal. And then he got called up to the Coyotes because he scored the first goal as a Sun Devil, got called up to the Coyotes and scored 2 goals in that game in his debut. Still just a legendary moment. But I'll reach out to him and let's say, hey, I haven't reached out in a while. Just want to let you know we're still here. And if your wife would like to come on my podcast, I'd love to have her. And I'll take care of that. And that's exactly what Town Hall Tuesday is for, because I get so warped and wrapped up into so many other things. I forget about stuff and I'm just one dude. And for you to email me and say, hey, what about this? That's how we help the show. So thank you.
Nate says, hello, sir. Sorry I couldn't make it out that day. You told me to reach back out in mid-January, so that's what I'm doing now. Thanks.
So Nate reached out interested in becoming a sports photographer and wondering, what I could do to help. So I invited him to Bell's for the holiday event so he could meet people and get involved, and he wasn't there. So Nate, my answer to you now is keep listening to the podcast. It's cool. He's an Uber driver and a member of the Unplugged Army. I don't know if it was Bug Ron or another Ron, but somebody named Ron turned him on to the podcast and he listens while he's working. And so we're thrilled to have you, Nate. I don't know how much I can help you because right now, Doug Franz Unplugged is big enough to get credentials from the other teams that aren't the Cardinals, but not big enough to get credentials for other people. Maybe if you and I went to I'm not trying to sound insulting in any way, but like an ASU soccer game, something that's an Olympic sport, a non-revenue sport, they would easily let me bring somebody. And then I would want you to take pictures and we would post them on the website and help grow that. I think that would be really cool. So yes, I'm interested. I think the best move is I need to contact Whirlwind and I want to set up another opportunity for us to play golf like the pros, like we did last year on the LPGA course. I want to get that set. And if I can do that, Nate, please make sure that you come to that event so we can really, because that's once I have an event, I've got the world booked, for me to be a part of it. So hopefully we can do that.
Private, actually honored to be part of the Army in any capacity. Missed Town Hall Tuesday, but I have a random question. Is Ryan Dunn the current Suns' Mikal Bridges? Great defender, high character, high energy. Needed to learn the offensive game when young, especially outside shot. Jason.
Private Jason, Excellent analogy. Absolutely excellent analogy. I will say one thing, though, that the world doesn't do enough of. The world should stop every day and thank God for Mikal Bridges. I mean, do you realize that kid, that we have never seen a conditioned athlete in the game of basketball like him in the history of the sport? And Steph Curry's pretty close. I mean, Steph Curry's insane with
Steve Nash.
Here's the thing. Steve Nash did all kinds of different things, but he also got hurt every now and then. Mikal Bridges never misses a game, never rejects coming into a game. And the guy is unbelievable in the amount of minutes he has played in certain games of his career. He's unlike any athlete I've ever seen in the game. So I don't even like, it's funny because Jason's comparison is spot on in certain ways, yet I hold Mikal in such high regard. I don't want to let him be compared to anybody because nobody can do what he does condition wise. Now that I've said that, let's just look at it on the court. And I think it's exactly the same. However, Mikal started with a better shot than Ryan Dunn had. Everybody who watched UVA play basketball said the same thing about Ryan Dunn. He's great at everything but offense. But he can rebound, he can defend, has a high basketball IQ, blah, blah, blah. But in the UVA system at the time, his shooting was not needed. Now in the NBA game, it's a must. So it's still a crazy work in progress. So he's starting from a much lower level than Bridges is offensively, but he's doing a great job working at it. And when you talk about character, you nailed it. Ryan Dunn is just a great dude. But gosh, Mikal Bridges was amazing. I've been at golf tournaments with him. I've met his dad a couple times, and you can just see it's amazing for a guy to be that fun and that humble playing a sport with a bunch of egos. He's a great dude.
Besides the lawsuit, Brian Flores seemed to run afoul of some of his key players. Tua said he was, quote, a terrible person, and others likened him to a dictator at the end. Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't have many nice things to say either. I think Flores even came out and issued a statement about it. I'm not saying people can't change, but it probably doesn't help him to get interviews. On the Cardinals.
Let me stop there because let me talk about Brian Flores.
Sure.
The biggest line of failure in the history of football is any human being from the Bill Belichick tree. It's crazy. Normally, you always hire people from a successful person's tree. Everybody that's ever been a Bill Belichick assistant goes somewhere else and fails. It's crazy. And I think the number one reason is they try to be Bill Belichick, and they're not. And they try to be a dictator like Bill Belichick, and they're not. Plus, I hate to say, most of them aren't as smart as Bill Belichick. So he can be a dictator because he's so smart, he ends up proving himself always right. So that's the world that Brian Flores came from when he went to Miami. And when you hear the stories about how Bill Belichick attacked Tom Brady a lot, it's kind of one of those things where everybody in the organization fell in line because they were like, wow, if Tom Brady gets treated like that, then I don't want to run afoul with him because he's certainly not going to treat me as, like that, meaning in negative. He's going to treat me worse. What's different is if you look at the Greg Popovich-Tim Duncan relationship, he used to torch Tim Duncan all the time. Greg Popovich had a stroke. It's Tim Duncan who drives him to his appointments. That's the relationship. And Tim Duncan allowed himself to be coached that hard because Popovich always did a great job of making sure everyone knew how he felt before he ripped into you. And that was really important. Coach Paul Bear Bryant used to say, coach them hard, hug them harder. And that's how you get the most out of your players. And when you say that about Brian Flores, I do think he changed. I think we should listen to Tua, but I also think Tua is soft. So I don't really worry about that. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not soft. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick says something, it should be listened to. But I think Brian Flores learned a lot from being in Pittsburgh under Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin is never going to be accused of being soft at any moment in his life. But he also has the hilarious phrase, I want volunteers, not hostages. So when everybody wanted him to be a hard man and stick it to people that were Antonio Brownish or people that wanted to get more attention than team, and you need to change this guy, you need to bench this guy, whatever, he was just like, fine, I'll be done with you. I'm not going to give, like this, you know, the old phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. He felt like nobody deserves grease. I'll just get rid of you. I'll just move on. I'll deal with it. And we'll find a way to win without you. And once you do that, you take away the degenerate's ability to control the situation. And plus, the situation in Minnesota is a bunch of people that really care. I think Brian Flores is different. And General Mike, everything you're saying, man, that's nails. It's true and it's reality with Brian Flores. But I also think, gosh, we look at how many other coaches or owners or GMs have screwed up or been a jerk to somebody. And we don't judge them by the same thing, but this one went public and we go crazy. Great point. We should divulge it. We should experiment with it. We should investigate it if you're a team that's looking for a head coach. But I think Brian Flores deserves a second chance.
Okay, so still from General Mike on the Cardinals. Until more capital comes into the team, whether it's new ownership, which is entirely unlikely, or minority ownership investment, the Cardinals can't compete financially with teams owned by real estate or oil Can you say the word for me? Moguls.
Moguls. You got it before I did. But I didn't know that was a Geraldo Perdomo word.
Oh, take me back. Much less Walmart and Microsoft heirs. On the field, the salary cap helps balance this out, but off the field, it's a problem in regards to investments back into the team. Things like employee and coaching salaries, team facilities, staffing levels, scouting budgets, etc. The team is not poor, but the environment they are in, they're in a disadvantageous position compared to most of their peers. A rising tide floats all boats, but if a boat is tied to a dock, it can only rise so much before it runs out of rope and then gets pulled underwater. Happy birthday, Vienna. General Mike.
General Mike, this is one of the greatest writings in Town Hall Tuesday history because you're bringing up fantastic points. It is true. Michael Bidwill's money is made by his father and the growth of the NFL. He was a successful federal prosecutor, from what I've been told. Other people have told me, no, he wasn't. And so I don't know. That's a world I don't live in. I don't know who to believe. But you're so correct in which here's how this works. The money from the league is distributed evenly, but advertising money is not. So it's really simple. You put an advertisement into MetLife Stadium for a New York Giants game that's going to be seen by that many people versus what's going to be seen at a Cardinals game. The market size itself is different. Preseason games are locally televised. So therefore you make a ton of money on your preseason games by selling your own advertising, and you get money directly from those advertising. And that's not shared with the league or anybody. You get to keep that unless it's a national broadcast. So there are give and takes on that. So all of that is true. But I would say this, one of the reasons why, in my opinion, this organization doesn't make the money that other organizations do is I don't see how employees can succeed with how poorly they are treated. Now, This is all conjecture. This is all people that have texted me secondhand or the occasional anonymous email that I've gotten over my 20 years here to explain how terrible it is working for the Arizona Cardinals. I can't say I know if it's changed. They say that that they were working to change. And I want to be blunt here. I have not received one of those calls, emails, or texts in about 18 months. So maybe things are better. But when you treat people that way, it's almost impossible. I was just having this conversation with my daughter the other day and her friend Liz, well, actually your daughter, General Mike, that I can sell anything if I believe in it, and I can't sell a thing if I don't. I am not the type of person that has these great slick sales lines that talk you into buying something that's bad for you. I'm great at selling something I believe in because I believe in it. And people kind of feel like, well, I want what you're having from When Harry Met Sally. So that's what I'm selling. So in that sense, I believe there's a lot of Cardinals people that are going out there saying this is what we have. I don't know how you sell something if you don't believe in it, because your team wins 3 games, your owner treats you terribly, and you're out there saying we're worth this much and you're not. That's really, really hard. And then guess what happens? The team doesn't make as much money as the other teams. I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think what they have to do is, if they invested, I think this city comes alive. And I saw it when they went to the Super Bowl. I had no idea it was that exciting. And here's what's funny about that. When the Doug and Wolf show first started, we didn't have yelling matches at Wolf, but we had very deep discussions to get Wolf to wake up to the negativity of the Cardinals and that we weren't going to cover them that much because this town doesn't like them. And then in a year and a half, they went to the Super Bowl and the city went crazy. And once the city went crazy, the station made, in my opinion, the negative decision of going all in with both feet and being wall-to-wall Cardinals all the time. And I think that's a negative because you're chasing money. I think you're being a prostitute because the Suns and the Diamondbacks are so much better run organizations that why wouldn't you go all in with them? And I think you could have, and they chose not to. And, you know, I have no idea how their business model's doing. I don't know how they might be killing it, and they might laugh behind my back like crazy. Like, well, you remember all those arguments we got into with that Yahoo that's gone now? Look how well we're doing. I don't know. But obviously both can exist because of you as listeners, the Unplugged Army is doing well.
Stacey K says, how are the Suns doing this?
I think that's a fantastic question. The brevity of the question and the brilliance of what an incredible topic. I think first and foremost, you have to look at Brian Gregory. I don't know how involved Matt Ishbia was, but Brian Gregory hiring Jordan Knott. Well, let me back up even further. It always starts with the decision of Ryan McDonough to draft Devin Booker. Let's start there. There's no way he could have known that he drafted what he drafted. But for a young man to not even start at Kentucky, you drafted a first-round pick who was under 18 years old and he turned 18 while he was a freshman in Kentucky. So you drafted an 18-year-old human being with a first-round pick who didn't start a game in college. How dumb does that sound? And yet you got one of the most loyal human beings that cares deeply about history. His ego is only big because he cares about getting his place in that history, but with reverence to the history. It's the greatest form of ego you can have, in my opinion. It's hard to have a grounded ego. And he does. He cares deeply about succeeding. He cares deeply about being great. And he really does care about what a lot of people think, but only within the realm of the team. Because look at the way he plays the game. He gets mad when you disrespect him, but he doesn't get mad like, oh, throw me the ball. All of you stink because you're not giving me the ball. He is a fantastic leader on this team. Then there's the hiring of Jordan Ott. Jordan Ott is so different than any young coach I've ever seen. A young coach should not have the ability to say, been there, done that. And that's exactly the attitude he exudes. Just the other day, not last night in the win against Brooklyn, but in the win against the Knicks, he was being asked about how he teaches his players what is a good shot within his system. And he kind of pushed back on the question, saying NBA players know what a good shot is, meaning my job is to guide them because they're already smart. You don't get this far without being smart. Now, I don't always believe that, but just by saying it, you're lifting up all of your players. I have had people that were good leaders, good bosses, and said things that made sense, but they still had a holier than thou attitude. The greatest boss I ever had is a man by the name of Bill Donovan, who I will never forget one time walked into a sales meeting, and I don't know, there's 20 people in the meeting and there's 20 chairs. And he walked in and sat on the floor. And it was, and somebody got up. I don't know if they were sucking up or just being nice. Oh no, Bill, you sit here. And he said, no, this meeting's for you. So you sit down, and the meeting isn't for me, and I don't feel like standing. That's it. There was no holy. Could you imagine Jerry Jones of the Cowboys sitting down in a meeting? No way. But that's what Bill Donovan did, because he was basically screaming from the rooftops, I'm not better than you, even though he owned the place. And I look at that in this, kind of exact same way that Jordan Ott makes the players feel like we're all in this together. I'm fighting with you, not against you. And some coaches make you feel like I'm fighting against you. You're screwing up my legacy. Jordan Ott creates a family that says, I'm lifting your legacy. And then everybody says, I want to fight for that.
Not sure what I'm opening up here, but I'm curious. How does Ryan McDonough see that in an 18-year-old Devin Booker? And going back to one of the earlier questions, the whole slew of whoever's scouting and making decisions for the draft for the Cardinals are, in your opinion, not getting it right.
I was a fan of Steve Keim, and then I feel like he changed, and I was not a fan of the new person he became. But he used to have a great line when he says, we rarely get the player wrong. We always struggle with the person. And what Ryan McDonough did that was different is he would schedule meetings with coaches in off hours because he wanted to be near the gym to see who was in it, who was working. He used to do what was called the run test. After about 4 years, the run test, everybody knew it was coming. But the first 2 years of the run test, you could clearly see who wanted to be a son and who was like, I've just had all of these other workouts. I'm not doing that. Because I'm not here for you. I'm here to work out and go to my next workout. And he would tell a lot of things about the person. So, and also, I like Ryan McDonough a lot, but let's face it, he also got lucky. He looked at the basketball player of Book and thought, I think Book was drafted 13th. I'd have to look it up. Might be 14th, but he was in the very low teens. And it could be a case where out of everybody else on the board, that's the best shooter. We need a shooter. Let's just take him. But afterwards, he sold it pretty well once the light started to shine on Book. And he also knew that his father was a hardworking basketball player who played internationally. And he thought that would be instilled in Devin too. So that has a lot to do with why he took him.
Sorry, I was going to look up where he was drafted, but finished answering the question too soon. So I'll move on. Hey, Doug, I've been MIA recently. I just wanted to give you an update. I had the Unplugged Army holiday event on my calendar, but my family and I were sick and throwing up. Hydro Air has been super crazy as of late. I launched our podcast, Unstuck, with Hydro Air Wellness Lab, and just found out that we are going to be on Fox 10 next Wednesday. I listen every day and really enjoy hearing you talk about sports. It's a staple of my day. Thanks for posting a podcast every day. Now I'm hosting and producing a podcast, and I know a little bit about how stressful and how hard it is to ensure that everything sounds good. I'm nowhere near as good as you are at it, but hopefully I can get there. You mentioned some potential ideas for future events. I think a spring training game would be super fun, and even an event at the Sportsbook at Wild Horse Pass would be super fun. Best of luck in your meeting today with the Wild Horse Pass general manager. I'll be out there tomorrow for my first golf lesson with Brandon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks again for everything you do. I appreciate you and your friendship. Best regards, Breton.
Oh, thank you, Breton. And my family appreciates you guys. Hopefully Savannah and the kids are doing great. But yeah, when it comes to you missing the holiday event, I disagree with that. Just throw up in the bar. I don't care. But you got to be at the event.
I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time someone threw up.
Yeah, exactly.
Different reasons, probably.
Exactly. Great news about that things are crazy at Hydro Air Lab. That sounds amazing. You guys have such a fantastic product, and it is, but I would say something like that is an amazingly slow build, because you've got to convince almost people little by little by little to be able to convert them into hardcore members of your army to come in. Tell me more about the Fox 10. I think that's awesome. And if there's something I can do to help in that way, in any way, I would be glad to. As far as your podcast, let's give you a free plug. What was it called? Unstuck with Hydro Air. Unstuck
with Hydro Air Wellness Lab.
So anybody that is a podcast person beyond, like if you listen to multiple podcasts and not just Unplugged, then try to give Unstuck a listen and see what you think. And then please give him feedback to help make Breton better. He's a good dude, so he can take it. As far as the potential ideas of the future, oh my gosh, yes, please. I think we could have a great time, but imagine how big Wild Horse Pass is. They're not going to want to do something small, so we need to kill it. But gosh, do you think I'm asking too much for 25? You know, if we could go to that sports book, even if you're not a gambler, don't worry about gambling. If it's just come in, have a beer, have dinner, just hang out with friends. If we could get 25 people there, I think that would look really good. I'm thinking like 25 a month. And I'm talking about, we have one event, 25 people are there, or it's kind of hard at a place like that. The dealer is not going to care if you walk them and say, I'm in the Unplugged Army. You know, we need about 500 people doing that. But if we're all taking over the sports book, that'll get attention. That'll get real attention, even if you're not gambling. So yeah, I love that idea. And then lastly, for you to sign up for lessons with Brandon, that's the definition of the Unplugged Army. That is exactly what this show needs. And plus, Brandon is just a guy. And I mean that as a compliment. He's not super high up in the Wild Horse Pass chain. You're helping the other guys that are involved in making Whirlwind such a great place. And for those of you that have young kids, guess what golf teaches you? Honesty and self-confidence. If you have any desire for your child to be honest and self-confident, why not teach them golf? And they have a lot of events for child golfers at Whirlwind. They have lessons for child golfers. So please inquire into that, even if you're not a golfer.
Aaron says, I saw Vienna on our session rosters tonight. Join her. Let's go.
That is A.G. Kleino, who is one of these, almost like he's not a general, but he's a Hall of Fame member of the Unplugged Army because he listened a long time ago, thought I was the most raw human being in the world. If you remember the 2022 version of the Unplugged, is that right?
That, or you started toying with this idea
some of the
right
2020
at the end of 2021. So like the last week in December or something like that, couple weeks.
Some of those were pretty raw of I was still processing being fired. And it's really weird because when you are principally responsible for building something, you know who is a great person for me to talk about in that sense is Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe, I had him on the show once, not on Unplugged, on Doug and Wolf, but Wolf wasn't there. And we had his old center on the show as a fill-in for Wolf. And he said, well, let's get Drew on. And if you don't know the Drew Bledsoe story, he was drafted number 1 overall out of Washington State by Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And he was the guy. And then he took a helmet right in the chest, got knocked out for 3 games. He wasn't like out cold for 3 games, but you know what I mean? He had a problem with his lungs and was out for 3 weeks. And in those 3 weeks, this young whippersnapper from Michigan, Tom Brady, became the quarterback. And the offense played better than it had in years. And Bill Belichick made the the second greatest coaching decision in the history of sports. And that was to bench Drew Bledsoe for Tom Brady. And when we had Drew on, I had asked him, because he was still really bitter at the Patriots for benching him. And I had asked him, well, doesn't it matter that Tom went on to be the greatest of all time? I mean, it's not like you got benched for a guy that then stunk. It was kind of proven that it was right. And he said, it's the way it was handled. All they did was put the pressure on me that I am the building block. So I'm doing all of these events. I'm doing all of these things to represent the Patriots because that's what they wanted. And now the split second somebody else does something good, they want me out. That's what I'm angry about. I root for Tom Brady. I don't root for the Patriots. I root for Tom Brady because he was always a great teammate. It's not against Tom Brady. I'm against how I was treated. And even though I admit, even while I was listening, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, but that was a long time ago and it was still right. I didn't say that, but I kind of felt like get over it. And then I'm right in the exact same feeling of, yes, the station would have succeeded without me. If they never would have hired me, they had a lot of good people. But I know it would never have reached the levels of success it did without me. And I know the pressures they put on me. I know the way they treated me as if I was the rock. You're the morning guy. You're the leader. You need to do this. You need to do that. And all of these things. And then as soon as they didn't want to change, boom, I'm the problem. So I look at Drew with a lot more sympathy than I admit I used to have. And circling all the way back to Aaron listened to those raw Unplugged shows and admired how I overcame it and created a business and I'm incredibly successful if we look at it through the prism of one dude. But it's not what it needs to be yet. You know what I mean? So it's not totally there and it's not, financially successful to the point of where I am ready to hire somebody to help. But Aaron did the same thing, and Aaron did better than me because he has a brick and mortar location, Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp. He has a staff. I mean, he crushed it. And he probably doesn't feel like he crushed it, but he crushed it. And so my daughter loves going there. Jennifer stopped going because you had a bad wrist, but you're ready to get restarted, right?
We're going together tomorrow.
Oh, actually. Look at that. So yes, Aaron, it needs to happen. But what's difficult for me is nothing changes. I still work 16 to 20 hours a day, and I can't invent hours, but you are officially on the radar because I want that. I want to get there, especially with my family.
Where's the Discord group? Guest user 176.
It's on Discord. Discord Brian, I could use some help. Discord Keith, I could use some help on that. I don't know how to describe it. I have I did email that person a link to the Discord page, and hopefully that connects you. But to my knowledge, all you would do is get on Discord, download the app, and then once you're on the app, you just search in the app Unplugged Army. And then once you get there, you do get approved by Discord. I think I just said Keith. By Discord Kevin. Brian or Discord Kevin. Yeah. You get approved by Discord Brian or Discord Kevin. And then, but all your approval is, do you accept not being a jerk? And as long as you're not a jerk, we want you. And then you can't enter if your name is guest user, by the way.
Hey, Doug, I need your rules knowledge. Why did the announcers on the game tonight keep making excuses for not calling the helmet to helmet? The one guy said the IUQB is a runner, and that's why it was okay to miss the call. I don't care who it is. I don't see how you missed that call.
I will answer your question, but it will not give you the solution you're looking for because I don't know how they missed that call either. But a lot of people get confused. Helmet to helmet is not a penalty when it is a defensive player. And I don't mean defensive as in a defender. I mean the opposite of defenseless. A defenseless player, you cannot make any contact to the head or neck area. So if you want to call targeting, you have to think of it like a flow chart. Question number one, were they a defenseless player? Defenseless players are defined by a punt returner or kickoff returner as they're receiving the ball. Once they catch it and look down and start moving, once they make a football move, they're no longer defenseless. But while they are receiving, they're defenseless. A receiver, until they make a football move, they're a defenseless player. And a quarterback that is in the pocket is a defenseless player until he becomes a runner. So that just means any contact to the head or neck area, you're guilty of targeting. Okay, so that's number one. If, however, you are not a defenseless player, the rules dramatically change. And what was happening with Mendoza on that play is he was running the option. And a zone read is, I might give it to you, I might not. You lose all protections when you are an option quarterback, because you're basically a running back who might hand it off. The defender has every right to hit you, and he has every right to hit you in the helmet, and he has every right to hit you in the head or neck area because you are a defensive player. You are able to defend yourself. Now, there's a second caveat to targeting, which is no one may use the crown of their helmet. And what the crown of the helmet is supposed to be is basically the very top of your head. And he clearly went in with the top of his head to the underneath face mask and chin of Mendoza. That is targeting 100% of the time. The Kirk Herbstreit didn't do a really good job of explaining. And it's hard. I mean, keep in mind, first of all, he's a better analyst than I am. But it's hard to explain when you have 8 seconds to explain a convoluted rule before the next play. But the point was, he is a defensive player. He's a player that can defend himself. So because the rules change, I guarantee you a referee that's watching the play is thinking, wait, that's not helmet to helmet because he's allowed to be hit, because he's not a player that has protection. What they didn't pay attention to is the crown of the helmet being used. I want to support like crazy the referees on the field who missed it. It's really easy to miss it. That happens, bang, bang. In college, however, you can signal down on one play. Every other play, you cannot signal down and say, hey, I think I saw this. Now, you can let me change that. On plays that would drop a flag, you can signal down and say, hey, I think he was out of bounds. Let's look at it. But there's only one play in college football where you can go to review, where the replay judge can say, let's look and see if you should throw a flag. And that is targeting. It's the only one. Why the replay official didn't call down and say, I think you missed a targeting, come over and look at it, that is inexcusable. I mean, the person's human. I'm sorry. God bless you. But you couldn't have screwed up. You had, in a sense, it's the famous line, you had one job, look for targeting, and you blew it. So that's the explanation, Mark B, is simply it was targeting. I can understand that the referee's thinking he's a player that does not receive defenseless player protection, and that's why they let it go. There is no excuse for the replay official. Hopefully that was good, because that's kind of nuanced, detailed, me getting into the cornfield a little bit.
No,
but
that was perfect.
Okay.
Great job.
Well, I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but thank you.
No, I know, but it was good. Hey, Doug and Mrs. Franz. First of all, I want to thank Jennifer because she actually pronounced my name correctly.
Oh, hey.
And went out of her way to make sure Doug pronounced it correctly as well. So thank you, Jennifer. You're an angel.
Josue.
Very good. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for patronizing me, Angel.
Also,
you're thrown because I called you Angel. I could tell.
It's so wrong. It's so weird.
It's okay for Josue to call my wife an angel, but not for me to call my wife an angel.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Also, I'll go ahead and download the correct app on my TV to watch you. I enjoyed the segment with Cam from 12 News and Chili. I liked how he shouted you out and really spoke well about you. I feel the same way he does about you. Anyway, hope to attend an event soon. Josue.
I'm glad that you do. This is a funny story about Chili. So I'm eating lunch with him tomorrow. Or I'm eating lunch with him today. I've screwed up twice today on what today is. Today is Town Hall Tuesday. So I'm eating lunch with him today. And it was really funny. We were trying to figure out, where. And I sent a text that said, I have sponsors everywhere. So I'll pick the place, you pick the city. And I listed the cities of where we could meet. And then he texted back, great, let's meet here. And he sent me a link to some taco place in Tempe. Well, I'm kind of like, wait a minute, that's not what I said. I know where I want to go. I want to know what city you want to go to. But I'm not going to tell a guy no. So I have this rule. Here's what's funny. And by the way, Unplugged Army, this is all between us. Okay. Never tell just Chili this. My rule is if I invite you to lunch, I'm buying because we're going to one of my places. I'm supporting my places. If you invite me, you're buying. If I invited you, but you want to take us to a place that's not one of my places, I don't know what to do. So I'm buying because I feel like that's right because I invited him. But it's still weird. Like, we're not going to one of my places. But I'm excited to go somewhere I've never been.
And say, hey, let's go to Burrito Express if you want tacos?
No, I didn't.
What is wrong with you?
Well, I can go and then I can say, you know what? This isn't Burrito Express. And what's amazing is when he gave me the shout out on 12 Plus, he specifically said, and Doug is out there at all these ASU events and Burrito Express. Like he quoted, he made mention to Burrito Express. So he knows them. But it's good to experiment every now and then.
I don't know. I'm glad I'm not part of that conversation. All right. Greg H9 says, hey, Unplugged Doug.
I think I just got ripped.
Just had the green chili and egg burrito from Burrito Express.
No way is that the next one.
It is, and it was the bomb. Come on, Unplugged Army. If you haven't checked them out, gotta do it. What you gonna do about that?
Okay, how about this? I will go to this taco place.
And then swing through Burrito Express on your way home?
Yes, take that.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of weight I need to gain.
Aaron, help us out. Come drag him, kicking and screaming.
Goodyear.
Like to speak to Greg H9.
How about Goodyear Fit Body Express?
Oh my!
We'll put it all together. We get served burritos while we work out. I would like to say thank you to Greg H9. That is absolutely fantastic. And I have had the green chili and egg. I have not had the green chili and egg, but I've had the green chili stuff that he makes poured into my steak and salsa burrito, which was fantastic. That green chili stuff is really good.
Harbaugh was never even entertaining the Cardinals job. You can also cross off any coach that had options. Kubiak, Minter, Saleh, Shula, they won't take this job. It will be Vance Joseph at DJ White 12184.
DJ White 12184. I am thoroughly convinced you are not a member of the Unplugged Army. That you just respond to my tweets because you disagree with them and you don't even listen. And I reject you openly. I'm just not a fan of that. Like, why engage if you're not going to listen? Because you're just taking a title out of context and you are proving my whole point. You want to laugh and say, I'm the idiot because I'm trying to say Harbaugh should be the head coach of the Cardinals. You are part of the problem, sir, because you are the one that's giving the huge run for Michael Bidwill. You are no. He's never going to be interested in us, so let's not go after him. I'm not going to play that way. My world looks at it like this. If Michael Bidwill's the problem, we are letting him off the hook every time we say it's okay that we don't get the best talent. We are in Phoenix. Why don't we deserve the best talent? Why do we judge the other teams differently? I don't understand that. Let's judge the Cardinals on the same way that Eagles fans judge their staff, the Giants fans judge their team, like an East Coast fan base. It's wrong that John Harbaugh is not interested in the Cardinals, and it's not John Harbaugh's fault. It's the owner's fault, and we should talk about that. So, sir, I completely reject you with this idea of, well, he was never going to come here, so we shouldn't be talking about it. No, that's exactly why we should be talking about it.
Oh, okay. At Unplugged Doug, hashtag Town Hall Tuesday. Jennifer roasting you was pretty great. She also complimented you on your sales skills. So this question is for her.
You're reading your own question.
I didn't write this question.
Okay.
How well did Doug sell himself to you that you moved on from his friend who he said blew you off to him? At Farmer Braxton.
Do I answer then or do I?
He said, and I quote, so this question is for her. Farmer Braxton, what are you doing?
Why did you say that?
Because I don't want to say that you didn't have to sell yourself.
Because I'm that attractive. Is that why?
We just clicked.
I was hot.
Oh, wait, isn't this question for me?
That's not egotistical. It was past tense. No. I'm just adding details.
Whoa. Okay, so now you know what it's like for me. No. When I interject when you get the details wrong.
Yeah, and it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, okay, first of all, my details aren't wrong.
Why are you interjecting?
My details aren't wrong. I was attractive. So that's not a wrong detail.
Okay, how is you being attractive selling yourself?
Because That's a selling point.
You don't have anything to say.
That's a selling point.
You're trying to butt in and answer my question.
Okay, I will listen to your question, your answer to your question. How did I sell myself?
You didn't. We just clicked. And I'm sorry to let you down, Farmer Braxton, but that is the truth. It was meant to be.
Well, that's kind of... All right, moving on. I feel like we should either hug it out or we should just move on. So, I mean, that was sweet, but it's weird and creepy.
It's not creepy.
With what? I hate when people make out on movies. And it's like,
we're not making out.
Well, no, I just mean that's.
You wish we were, but we're not.
Making out is just a means to the end. But I mean, but I just mean that I just, by the way, speaking of...
Okay, Braxton is not allowed to write in anymore.
Speaking of this room, we've owned this house for a while. Nothing's ever happened in this room.
Lily 14 says, had Burrito Express, yes, Burrito Express, repeat, Burrito Express.
We're not repeating about this room anymore.
And 100 Mile Brew for dinner. Outstanding as usual. Support the sponsors at Unplugged Doug. Hashtag Unplugged Army. That right there is a beatdown.
Wait. Well, back to Farmer Braxton. Jennifer, roasting you was pretty great. Let's talk more about Farmer Braxton's questions. Gee, Lily, that's a home run. You went to Burrito Express for breakfast and 100 Mile Brew for dinner. You get the MVP of the Unplugged Army for a day. There'll be an award ceremony and the whole bit.
At the next holiday event.
Yes.
Oh, we should do that.
The MVP of the Unplugged Army?
No, we should collect awards during the year.
Like the Rookie of the Year? And
write these down, right? Get your pen.
Now wait a minute though. I don't think the reason why Mikey loves the holiday event is because we stay in our own little world and he still gets to own the country bar. If we ever become big enough that we are putting 100 people in there, I guarantee you Mikey would shut the restaurant down for us. Okay? But until we get there, think about what you're saying. I would have to yell over the country because the winner of the Rookie of the Year award, you can't do that. I'm not loud enough.
We need to meditate on that.
Okay.
All right, Discord Brian says, positive thoughts and prayers for your mom's surgery and recovery. Hashtag Unplugged Army.
Discord Brian, that is so cool of you to say that. The latest thing is my mother's birthday was the other day. I called her on her birthday, and for about the first 30 minutes, she sounded great. And then the voice got a little scratchy. I could tell, and I said, you need to go because it's not good for your voice to push it. And every day she feels better and better, but I have not received a text yet on the results. I was told the results of the tumor that they pulled out. They said it was malignant, but it was interesting when they pulled out the lymph nodes. The doctor told her they look great. So it's almost like, well, can you put them back in? But they still have to run the tests on the lymph nodes to make sure there's nothing in there that's a red flag. But from everything looks really good. So that's really nice of you, Discord Brian. Thank you.
Hashtag hire Harbaugh. Michael Bidwell, that's it, and nothing else is acceptable. You brought it to this point. Hashtag Unplugged Army. You want real and someone not afraid to punch and punch hard. At Unplugged Doug is what you're looking for, not Bidwell paid media. And Doug, Brady isn't the GOAT in my crappy opinion. At General Stavo.
First of all, the tweet, it's the first part of the tweet is incredibly strong. That is a great way to sell the podcast. Thank you. And your last statement, I do totally agree with you. That is a crappy opinion. Stavo, I don't know who you're saying is the greatest of all time, but Tom Brady, 8 rings. Nobody else has more than 4. Okay, boom. Number two, he lost 2 Super Bowls. One of the Super Bowls he lost was in Glendale on the famous David Tyree catch. If you don't remember what the David Tyree catch is, look it up. And the other Super Bowl that he lost was on the pass from Eli Manning to Mario Manningham, which is, to me, the greatest pass in the history of football. It is just, it's called a hole shot, meaning you have a 2-deep zone and there's a tiny little window between the safety and the corner. So a 2-deep zone means, think about it as an outfield in baseball. You're having a right center fielder and a left center fielder, and that's it. And now imagine the first baseman is in charge of any hit that goes down the right field line. And it was down the right sideline where this pass was thrown. So you can imagine the first baseman is running as fast as he possibly can down the right field line. And the right center fielder is running as fast as he possibly can to get to the sideline. And there's the tiniest little window of where you can get it over the head of the first baseman, but not throw it so far where it's easy for the right center fielder to get to. And Eli Manning put that pass right there. I don't remember whether it was 3rd down or 4th down, so I apologize with my memory. But it was caught along the sidelines, and it was amazing. And if it wasn't for that, the Giants had no chance of winning that Super Bowl.
Was that better than the Titans game in 1999?
No, but that there wasn't like I didn't say the greatest game. It just was, I have always felt like the Eli Manning pass to Manningham was the greatest pass of all time because of the difficulty of fitting it into that spot and converting a 3rd down to do it.
Okay, that's fair.
The greatest play in Super Bowl history, I guess you could argue it was that tackle by Mike Jones to end the Super Bowl. But the problem is, quite a few years later, is the Brady comeback, where they come back against Atlanta and I think they were down 23 and tie the game. And then you have to go with an overtime touchdown that wins the game, right? I mean, that's kind of incredible. That's what's amazing about this year's playoffs. Seattle beat the snot out of San Francisco, and Houston drubbed Pittsburgh.
Every other game has been amazing. It's been so fun to watch.
Yes.
Everything is close. Everything is so exciting. It's been a great year.
It has been. And I hate that in a sense, I admit, because I'm such a baseball guy. And football just gets so much more attention when it's great. The last couple of baseball playoffs have been really good. We just all hate the Dodgers so bad you can't enjoy it. But oh my gosh, this last baseball season was great, but hardly anybody remembers it. But so far this football season has been just perfect. And I think this weekend is going to be amazing because the Rams, it's so difficult. I hate both teams, Rams and Seattle. I just hate them. But it's going to be an amazing game. And then in watching the way Drake May continues to grow, I am excited to see what the Patriots are going to be able to do. I feel terrible for Denver. To go into overtime and lose your quarterback on the second to last play is just heartbreaking. And even though Bo Nix has no connection to Phoenix, I feel like he has a connection to us because he went to Auburn. So I cared about that. I met his dad once, a long time ago. And then I don't know if you know this, he transferred to Oregon when Kenny was the offensive coordinator. So he's very close with Kenny Dillingham. So there's so many cool connections there. But I think the Rams are going to beat New England in the Super Bowl.
Wow. Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
Do you want to make out?
Nope.
Even at my age, you can be shot down by a pretty girl.
It's late.
Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
It's time for Versus Vegas! Not quite a heater yet, but there's still a good reason to go dancing. Oh, just one clap. You know, I could have gone with the Indiana game. The Indiana game was 7.5 point spread, and I told you yesterday, I know Indiana's going to win, but I don't really like that. Wait, why am I putting down the music? I don't like that 7.5 point spread. I think Miami's going to cover, but I think it's going to be close, so I'm not going to touch it. And Miami lost by 6, so he would have done okay with the Miami plus the 7.5. But I just didn't love betting on that game. I thought it was going to be too close, and I thought they nailed the spread. I thought 7.5 was a perfect spread, so I didn't touch it. I admit, though, I was intimidated by the touchdown. If they would have said Miami plus 6.5, I would have went with Indiana, and I would have been wrong. I would have said Indiana's going to cover a touchdown. I didn't like 7.5, and I didn't touch it. But the only game I did do yesterday is I like Phoenix minus the touchdown. I took the Suns minus 7.5 against Brooklyn, and the Suns won by 9, so we barely escaped, but we got it, 126-117. So we went 1-0 yesterday, 2-1 the day before that, and 5-1 the day before that, and 4-2 the day before that. We're moving pretty good. We got a lot today, though. I'm all over hockey today. We've got a lot today. I'm a little nervous when I have this many games. I'm going to take Nashville on the money line against Buffalo, as Buffalo is on the back end of a back-to-back. Got Tampa Bay covering the 1.5 against San Jose. The Sharks are on the back end of a back-to-back. But it's obnoxious juice if you take the money line, so you got to take the puck line. And since we're taking the puck line, and since we're going to believe in Tampa Bay scoring, we might as well double down. We're going to take the over on the 6.5. So Tampa Bay covering against the Sharks, but the Sharks just won last night and scored 4 goals. They can give us a couple goals. I think we can have a good day, and I'm going to guess that we can get a couple goals from them, and then we'll go 5-2. We'll go 5-2. It'll barely cover it, but it'll cover it. We're going to take 5-2, Tampa Bay, San Jose. I got Montreal covering the puck line against Minnesota, minus 1.5. Same thing with Edmonton, minus 1.5, with New Jersey on the back end of a back-to-back. And the Rangers played in Anaheim yesterday. Now they're coming to the Kings, even though that's not that much of a drive, and they're probably still in the same hotel. We're going to take the Kings minus 1.5. And NBA-wise, I got one game that I like. I like Chicago minus the 3.5 against the Clippers, because the Clippers, I forget where they were last night, but the Clippers had a long flight. That didn't make a lot of sense. I'm sorry I'm stumbling. I'm still in deep thought on that Kings-Rangers game. I'm going to cross that out. I'm not going to do Kings-Rangers. And the reason why I crossed it out is I believe in the back end of a back-to-back taking advantage of the travel. Or the Rangers, they're probably in the same hotel room, just going between Anaheim and LA. That's not real travel. So skip that. So now I'm going to be so mad, though, if the Kings win like 5-1. And we had that, but I'm going to take that out. And then I like the T-Wolves easily over even covering double figures. The 10.5 against Utah. I like that a lot, even though it's a home dog. Utah's a 10-point home dog, and I'm still taking Minnesota without a shadow of a doubt. That's a lot of games, though. I'm just nervous looking at the number of games. Sound credits today. We got the CFP on YouTube is where I got both of the coaches, and both Signetti and Mario Cristobal, and where I got what was his name? Alberto Mendoza is what I think she said. That's where I got the Fernando Mendoza. I got the Sun Sound from Basketman on YouTube. I don't know who that guy is, but he shows a lot of press conferences across the NBA, so he's a good follow for me. And I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else. No, I don't. Well, that does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged. presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Don't forget, you can become a Whirlwind Plus member right now, and you still have a few days left that'll enter you into a 2-night stay at Wild Horse Pass and a $200 credit to Prime Steakhouse. That's what the winner gets. They have prizes every month for all Whirlwind Plus members. And it doesn't matter whether you are a Whirlwind Plus member for 30 days that month or one. So sign up now and you've got a chance to win. And please go to FordChampionship.com and look into registering as a volunteer. It'll come up the last weekend of March is the Ford Championship. And all Unplugged Army members, man, I need you. This is a huge event. It's Santan Ford is a major sponsor. Trophy is a major sponsor. And Whirlwind Golf Club is the host. I mean, think about who sponsors Doug Franz Unplugged. Boom, boom, and boom. So I need you. And I need you to be loud about it. Tell the world that you are volunteering at the LPGA event. That's what it means to be a member of the Unplugged Army. Bell's Nashville Kitchen is located on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale. It's been too long since I've been there. You know what? I don't think I've been there since the party. And I'm usually there once every 3 weeks, and it's been over 3 weeks. So I got to get over there. I'm craving some Nashville hot chicken. Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. Go to santanford.com, click on the mobile unit, and you'll be blown away by how easy it is to get your oil changed while you are still living your life, not sitting at a dealership. Parker & Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons. Burrito Express has locations all across the east side and coming to a Circle K near you. And as Gene Lilly 14 said, hey, it's the bomb for your birthday. 100 Mile Brewing Company. They're in Tempe at the 202, at the 10, and at Rural, or 202 Scottsdale and Rural, not the 10. Home of A Mountain Amber Ale, the best beer in the history of the state. Penny Royal Promotions, slap a logo on that. Wherever you are, whatever you do, there's going to be a time where you need some kind of logo tent, logo t-shirt, whatever. Email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com, and I'll get you hooked up with them. And Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp. You ready for this? Inspiring fitness and changing lives every day. I got the tag right. You got to be impressed, Aaron. I finally got the tag right. Now I've got to just get in the door. Al, Suns are on a little bit of a roll. How you feel?
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug Franz Unplugged.